Hasan Piker! I'm coming to kill you!
America deserved 9/11. If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott.
So they're streaming this?
Yeah. They're flexing. I'm sick and tired of it. Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be fucking showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers and letting their intestines just ride on stage. What the fuck is this shit, man? Slice them up. Slice them and fucking dice them. What the fuck is this?
874 Bellevue Drive, and I'm gonna kill you with my AR-15. Like that's the type of messages they were leaving in this dude's office, and he's resigning. Like he's literally, this is his last term. So I think that people are a lot more radical.
It's hurt poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
Again next week when we discuss the legendary question of all time: old enough to count, old enough to mount? Question mark.
What did he say?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Slop King, the greatest channel on all of YouTube. I will be your host for today's festivities. I am the aforementioned Slop King, and on today's journey, we will be discussing one of the largest leftist political streamers. One Hasan, Diddy, Epstein, Adolf, Bin Laden, Weinstein, Cosby Piker. Trigger warning: if you are easily offended, nauseous, or a woke psychopath, this video may offend you and your therapist. Now, with that out of the way, let's dive into today's episode. Hasan was born in New Jersey, but was raised in Istanbul, Turkey, and supposedly raised Muslim, which I find hard to believe, only because he allegedly drinks, does drugs, is pro-LGBTQ and trans, lives a hedonistic lifestyle romantically, and is an overall degenerate scumbag. But hey, YOLO, I guess. Hasan grew up wealthy, despite what he tells his audience. His father is a very successful economist and political scientist, who is a founding member of the Conservative Future Party in Turkey. His mother is an art and architecture historian, who teaches at New Jersey Institute of Technology. His uncle is Cenk Uygur. Cenk is a political commentator and co-founder of the Young Turks news network. Aside from growing up rich, Hasan is also a Nepo baby. In 2013, during his senior year at Rutgers University, Hasan was gifted an internship at his uncle Cenk's previously mentioned TYT network. Of course, Hasan was hired on shortly afterwards, and given a full-time position as a host and producer, solely based on his talent, of course. I'm sure it had nothing to do with his uncle owning the network. In 2018, Hasan started streaming on Twitch. He was still working at TYT, and was also a contributor for articles in the Huffington Post. However, at the beginning of COVID, in January of 2020, Hasan left TYT to pursue a full-time career on Twitch.
I can't believe I'm calling Nasrallah base. I mean, listen. You have to remember something, okay? A lot of these dudes, you see them in their fucking fits, and you hear about like some of their attitudes about like gay people, for example, and you immediately fucking resort to Orientalist perspectives, not realizing that these motherfuckers are better read than you by a million.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Hasan's career has been plagued by many controversial moments, ranging from saying America deserved 9/11 to interviewing alleged terrorists. But we'll get there soon enough, folks. Hasan is your typical frat bro trapped in a middle-aged man's body, and his early work reflects that. Hasan's first attempt at content creation was one Hasan would like everyone to forget about. Hasan created the website brotips.com in 2013, and it's as embarrassing as the title implies. The website was centered around bro culture. Ugh. So embarrassing. Hasan created the site with no help from his uncle, and shocker, it was a big nothing burger. Complete failure all the way around. Hasan was essentially the Temu Andrew Tate. Bro tips centered around bringing out your inner alpha male, horrible pickup lines, how to separate vulnerable women from their friends, and celebrities' genitalia. We're all still perplexed why the site didn't take off. I guess some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Hasan didn't give up though. He pulled himself up by the bootstraps and... I'm just kidding. He used his wealthy connected family to build himself a career. Hasan's early Twitch career saw him covering the typical progressive issues, such as Black Lives Matter, everything being racist, and all white people being bad. His obsession with the LGBTQ and trans movement lasted a few years, where he advocated for children to be allowed to remove their genitals and pretend to be the opposite sex, because that's a fucking cure-all for mental illness. Hasan considers himself a socialist politically, but he also cucks himself for every communist country in the world. He probably doesn't come out and self-identify as a communist because of the Communist Control Act of 1954, but as you'll see as the video continues, state and federal laws don't really matter to Hasan. While Hasan had some extreme takes early on in his career, it was nothing compared to the next chapter in his life.
Let's not obfuscate, okay? I understand what you're saying, but this dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand. And there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlement.
Hasan, are you gay?
No.
You're not gay at all?
No.
Okay, Hasan, since you're straight, you're an ally probably, right?
No.
You're not an ally?
Not an ally.
Now we get to the real meat and potatoes of the Hasan saga. After the atrocities and evil perpetrated on October 7th, Hasan found a new grift. The support all radical terrorists grift. Hasan made terrible terrorist-adjacent comments, like his 9/11 comments, and comments on Dan Crenshaw losing his eye. But those comments are nothing compared to his post-October 7th comments. The atrocities of October 7th shook the world. Hasan and Ethan were still doing the Leftovers podcast, and their relationship would soon disintegrate into a feud because of Hasan and Hasan's fan base's comments towards Ethan regarding the horrible and evil actions of Hamas terrorists, Palestinian militants, and some Palestinians who invaded Israel, murdered, raped, tortured, and kidnapped innocent men, women, and children who were attending a music festival and who were hiding in their homes. Look, I'm not an Israel supporter, nor am I anti-Palestine. I'm just anti-terrorist.
My analysis, even if there was multiple rapes that took place on October 7, this does not change anything for me in this dynamic. Can't tell black people what is or isn't a point of contention though? Yes, I can. I am literally a political commentator. I have black members in this community and I tell them shit all the time. Yes, I can. And I will keep doing it. I don't care. And there is literally nothing you can do about it. Well, the white man says no one. I think that in the short term, in order to combat against that, you have to advocate for a much lighter form of propaganda. You want America, in the way that I feel about it, and if you want America to get out of the way for places with more revolutionary potential to do what they would normally do, I think that, you know, one thing you have to do is advocate for a lighter form while simultaneously still doing agitated propaganda that goes beyond.
Let's talk about some of Hasan's terrorist propaganda greatest hits. Hasan has regularly praised and played terrorist propaganda, whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis. Hasan seems to always paint these evil, vile fucks in a positive light. Whether he's rewriting history regarding October 7th, the grapes and sexual assaults committed by Hamas, downplaying Hassan Nasrallah and Hezbollah's attacks against Israel. One of these attacks hit a soccer field, killing 12 children, by the way. Or painting the Houthis as heroic liberators for pirating and stealing commercial ships traveling on the Red Sea, kidnapping sailors and captains and holding them for years. Hasan also carries water for alleged domestic terrorists, like Bill Burr and the radical left's new hero, Luigi Mangione, who allegedly murdered the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, or Mohammed Solomon, the illegal immigrant from Egypt who traveled to Boulder, Colorado, and attacked a peaceful group of Jewish demonstrators with Molotov cocktails and a homemade flamethrower at an event called Run for Their Lives, which organized weekly events to raise awareness for the hostages held in Gaza. Or Elias Rodriguez, the alleged gunman responsible for the D.C. Jewish Museum shooting. Elias was an associate of the left-wing Party for Socialism and Liberation. Starting to see the pattern yet, guys? Rodriguez allegedly opened fire outside the museum during a young diplomat's reception hosted by the American Jewish Committee. Rodriguez allegedly murdered 2 Israeli embassy staff members. The victims were a couple who were about to be engaged. Hasan not only downplayed the 3 incidents and the actions of the alleged perpetrators, but Hasan actually read Rodriguez's manifesto word for word on stream to his audience of indoctrinated, brainwashed cretins. Hasan claimed to be reading the manifesto to critically examine the manifesto. However, Hasan's only comments on the shooter's manifesto were how articulate and well-spoken the shooter was, and referred to the shooter as being well-intentioned, but was just a little brain-broken, which is one of the most blatant mask-off moments I've ever seen. Hasan pretended like he was simply just trying to see the shooter's motivation, and even floated the idea that it might be a false flag operation, which is just laughable. However, I think his intentions were much more insidious. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear from the Terry supporter himself.
But like I'm not Mr. False Flag at all, but like every single thing that he did in the aftermath of the shooting is so fucking crazy that it's like you could not have designed a incident like this. You could not have designed a better false flag incident like this. I'm not saying it is a false flag incident at all. I'm not saying that. I think this is just a one dude who is genuine in his actions and maybe, you know, a little bit brain broken. Okay.
A few moments later.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. Okay? They can do whatever the fuck they want with the American flag and the Israeli flag. I wipe my ass with the American flag.
Arguably, one of Hasan's worst self-owns is Hasan's beef with Ethan Klein. Ethan began distancing himself from Hasan because of Hasan's blatant anti-Semitism, support for designated terrorist groups, and Hasan's fanbase's attitude and disgusting comments towards Ethan, as well as Hasan's refusal to condemn his radical audience's overt and blatant anti-Semitism. Ethan decided to fight back by making a content nuke video dedicated to Hasan's lies, hypocrisy, anti-Semitism, and apparent support for designated terrorist groups. The video was a masterpiece and did a great job shining a spotlight on exactly who Hasan is. Hasan's cuck orbiter extraordinaire iDubbbz, aka Ian, decided to make a content cop video on Ethan, and let's just say it was poorly received. Over the years, Ian has gone from an edgy, creative content creator to a pathetic, wimpy, beta male cuck who is controlled by his psychotic wife. But that's a video for another day, folks. The content cop video was basically Ian attempting to suck up to Hasan and try and garner some of his audience. And Hasan, of course, was using his friendship with Ian to try and turn up the heat on Ethan, and used Ian as a proxy to try to achieve his agenda, which is to ruin Ethan's reputation, career, and life. In my opinion, of course.
America is obviously still far worse than the Iranian government, even in terms of like the dire economic situation that Iranians are facing is also a direct consequence of American intervention.
You're an idiot.
I'm a propagandist.
Well, no,
For the record.
I'm not calling
I'm a
you that. I'm just
propagandist.
Now we get to my personal favorite part of the Hasan saga, the Hasan Orbiter's lawsuit. In one of the most legendary 4D chess moves in YouTube history, Ethan copyright registered his content nuke video prior to its release. He did this because he knew that Hasan's loser orbiters would live stream the entire multiple hour-long video while adding almost no commentary, discourage people from watching the video on the H3 channel, encouraging people to watch the video on their channel instead, to avoid giving Ethan the views and subsequent money. Their words, not mine. Their actions appear to be pretty straightforward copyright infringement, in my opinion, of course. Ethan made an amazing video announcing who he was suing, and it's honestly one of my favorite videos. Ethan announced that he is suing Loyal Orbiters, Caseytron, Frogan, and Denims. These moronic orbiters placed themselves directly in the firing line for their Lord and Savior, Hasan, Diddy, Adolf, Epstein, Bin Laden, Weinstein, Cosby Piker, and I personally thank them for their service.
Everyone in the Washington, D.C. community, I mean, think about it. These people, their only offense was going to the Jewish museum. They were killed because they attended a Jewish event. I mean, I gotta say, Kate, in many ways, this was inevitable. mean, think about the data. We've talked about.
There are two grave threats to Israel's existence, right? And it's not fucking Iran or Hezbollah or Hamas or anything like that, okay? The greatest threat to Israel's existence is Israelis themselves being like, yeah, fuck this shit. I don't feel safe here at all. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Brooklyn. I'm leaving. I'm going to France. I'm leaving. I'm going to fucking...
Hasan's anti-Semitic rhetoric and psychotic behavior continued to escalate after the Orbiter's lawsuit drama. Keeping up with his apparent perfect record, Hasan, of course, supported the anti-ICE riots. I mean protests. Fiery, but mostly peaceful, as CNN would put it. Just to be clear, these rioters were assaulting state and federal law enforcement over the Trump administration enforcing federal immigration laws by deporting illegal immigrants who are breaking previously mentioned federal immigration laws. Hasan, of course, painted the Trump administration as evil white Nazi racists for expelling the foreign criminal invaders. Apparently, Hasan would prefer America to have no borders and be flooded with illegal immigrants, crime, drugs, etc. I mean, the Trump administration numbers pale in comparison to Biden's old boss, Barack Hussein Obama. Granted, Obama didn't have an entire party of radical libtards, judges, political officials, and the entirety of mainstream media trying to interfere with and block every executive action Trump enacts, aka trying to fulfill the will of the American people, who freely, overwhelmingly, and democratically elected him to do. But of course it's Trump that's the fascist, not the psychotic, radical minority that resorts to domestic terrorism and violence every time they don't get their way. Silly me. We did almost get one of the greatest moments in YouTube history, though, with a rubber bullet coming within mere inches of Hasan's head. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't condone or want bad things to happen to him physically, but it would have been one of the most epic fuck around and find out moments by a content creator that I can personally think of. Many of the rioters appear to be fans of Hasan, which makes sense, considering they were engaging in foreign and domestic terrorism, seeing as how some of the rioters were American citizens, and some weren't. At one point, Hasan even broke the law by walking onto the freeway with the other brainless sheep. Apparently, it's totally okay with Twitch if Hasan streams himself breaking the law. Just add it to the list, I guess. You know what's strange? Whenever these psychopaths don't get their way, burn down and loot an American city, they always seem to loot Apple stores and liquor stores. You never see them looting a bookstore or the veggie aisle at a grocery store. What a strange pattern.
I don't know which is which, dude. Close the cookies? Oh yeah, true. Doesn't know where Yemen is? Okay, I'm gonna click close. I'm closing it. I'm closing it. I think nope. 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 Got it. One of these. Fordo is a nuclear facility that is built specifically and totally for the murder of Jews in Israel.
Democrat says she's undecided because of concerns about anti-Semitism. Beth?
Yes!
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you for remembering we need to bring the hostages home. Of course. The rise of anti-Semitism and violence from...
I think, like, this will never happen, but in a totally just world, any kind of, regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting, if they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm just so serious about this.
You may think that this would be peak insanity, but you'd be wrong. One thing that I have to give Hasan credit for is that he always seems to go lower than previously thought possible. Every time I think that he's hit rock bottom, he says, "Hold my performative keffiyeh," and pulls out a shovel and starts digging. Hasan is essentially a middle-aged man now. He's 34, dresses like he's 20, and acts like he's 5. I've never seen a human being in my entire life, man or woman, take more selfies than this guy. I mean, he's basically the Arab Liberace. He wears weird, overpriced shirts, huge baggy pants, wears choker-style necklaces, paints his nails, has purses, and even wears fucking dresses at times. It's weird and confusing, given that he's a vocal ally of the LGBTQ alphabet mafia people, while simultaneously advocating for radical Islamic terrorists who condemn and often delete LGBTQ people all over the world. But Hasan doesn't really believe in anything. He just says whatever he thinks his audience wants to hear, and pushes whatever grift he thinks will benefit him most financially. In my opinion, of course.
And every type of armed resistance against both the settlers and also the Israeli occupying force in the West Bank. Doesn't matter if it's your favorite podcasters like Wife that participate in these raids. The violence that the Palestinians engage in an act of resistance against this illegal occupying force is literally legal, definitionally legal. Okay? It's just...
Now let's dive into Hasan's recent controversies. One of Hasan's most irredeemable qualities is his calls for and attempts to get others to commit violence, because he's too cowardly to do anything himself. In my opinion, of course. He even vaguely calls for someone to assassinate President Trump, like in this clip. He's with his favorite propaganda journalist, Taylor Lorenz, whose greatest moments include describing the cowardly piece of shit murderer Luigi Mangione as morally good, harassing and doxing libs of TikTok, and being forced to resign instead of being fired for a post calling Joe Biden a war criminal, then lying about it. Because of course, she's a pro-Palestine, everything's racist and a genocide person. It's weird. Taylor Lorenz, Hasan, and people of their ilk are conveniently silent on the Nigerian Christian genocide that's currently being carried out by radical Islamic terrorists. I mean, of course they don't care about that, because if you bring up anything about Islamic terrorist violence, you're somehow labeled racist against Muslims, and because the actual genocide in Nigeria doesn't involve Jewish people, so they don't care, in my opinion, of course. Think about their deafening silence on the Christian genocide, but their screams and false claims of genocide in Palestine, when the reality is that it's awful that people are dying because of the Israel-Hamas war. But Hamas are the ones that started the war. That's just reality. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I'm not pro-Israel or anti-Palestine. I'm just anti-terrorist.
I can't stand any of you dumb fucks in this goddamn chat. Oh my fucking God, I hate the left. I hate liberalism. I hate everything that's going on every single fucking day of the goddamn week. I hate my life. I hate fucking streaming. I hate socialism. I hate every single fucking person who thinks that the peak of activism is just being the most annoying, holier than thou, the most ultimately woke leftist is...
Shut up, bitch! Oh my God!
And there are still people going, you support Hamas, so you do support terrorists. I don't know what's wrong about that. I don't know what's wrong about that.
Here are the facts. Hasan has vocally supported and played terrorist propaganda videos. Whether it's Hamas's evil acts on and since October 7th, the Houthis' atrocities in kidnapping and murdering sailors on the Red Sea, or the fact that many of them are PDF files, because large percentages of girls under 18 are forced into marriage in Yemen, and statistics show a drastic rise in these underage marriages in Houthi-controlled areas. What a shocker. Or his support of Iran obtaining nuclear weapons capabilities. Starting to see the pattern yet, folks? Hasan has also showed support for domestic terrorist groups, like the anti-ICE, trans, Marxist, Antifa terrorists, who Trump has finally formally designated a terrorist group. Antifa, that is. Hasan is so screwed. Now his and other woke lunatics are saying that Antifa isn't a group, it's merely a philosophy or an idea. Hasan should go to the doctor with how allergic he is to accountability and responsibility. Look, we all know what Antifa is. I mean, the real question is, who funds these they-thems? They're always rioting and protesting in the middle of the day, so they clearly don't have jobs. I guess I'm just curious as to what the average salary is for a professional agitator/domestic terrorist. They probably get paid in hormone blockers or transition surgeries. Honestly, if you're a Democrat, you're basically saying that you hate America and support violence and domestic terrorism. In my opinion, of course.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So
Hasan essentially being the mouthpiece for the radical left has put him in the sights of the federal government, who are taking a very strong stance against radical left violence and domestic terrorism. Whether we're talking about the BLM Antifa Summer of Love riots, deleting people who they disagree with politically, deleting people because they are white, demonizing anyone you disagree with, labeling people they disagree with as oppressors, violence against politicians, using lawfare against political opponents, trying to imprison and literally murder President Donald Trump because Orange Man bad, firebombing, attacking, and shooting ICE facilities, and the murder of Charlie Kirk, which was a full-on mask-off moment. Not only did a gay, furry, transgender boyfriend-having, leftist lunatic murder Charlie in front of hundreds of people, including his wife and children, but after the murder, psychotic, evil, vile, radical leftists took it upon themselves to laugh at and celebrate the murder of a father, a husband, and a good man, just because they disagree with him politically. The people Hasan has aligned himself with, and cultivated a following of people who want you dead if you don't agree with them 100% on every issue. If you don't think children should be castrated, or that there are infinite genders, if you want safe neighborhoods and communities, if you support our military or first responders, if you think that the most qualified person should get the job, if you are a person of faith, are religious, believe countries have borders, or believe in facts and logic, the modern-day Democratic Party wants nothing to do with you and thinks violence towards you is acceptable. I mean, they're literally evil. I don't see how you can view the situation any other way. These people show up to pro-Palestine rallies doing Hitler salutes, chanting, "We are Hamas," and spray paint "We love Hamas" and swastikas on buildings and statues. These weird, rabid freaks are openly anti-Semitic, while calling anyone who disagrees with them Nazis. It's literally pure insanity. These evil fucks were even seen smiling and tearing down missing persons posters of Israeli hostages and intimidating Jewish college kids on campuses across America. These aren't isolated incidents. It's widespread hate and support for radical Islamic jihadist terrorist groups by the same LGBTQ alphabet mafia trans-Tifa people. My point is, these people who want you dead are literally crazy sheep. They have no idea what they actually believe in, but will execute whatever orders they receive from their George Soros-backed Democrat leaders and deranged influencers like Hasan.
Motherfucker, come here. Stay. If you run right now, I'll fucking kill you. Like, I'll actually kill you, okay? In front of everyone. Stay.
Now we get to my favorite part of the Hasan saga, the find out part. Because of Hasan's violent rhetoric, made himself the poster boy for radical leftists, anti-ICE, trans-Tifa, jihadist extremism. In my opinion, of course. Because of his rhetoric, Twitch has seen a huge loss in ad revenue, which of course he doesn't care about, because he gets most of his revenue from outside sources. But the real find out portion is that Dan Clancy, the old gooner who runs Twitch, has been called to testify before Congress. The topic? Online radicalization, which, let's be honest, they're calling in the CEO of Twitch to testify almost solely because of Hasan. Hasan has been in full-on damage control mode ever since. He's been spending his recent streams blaming everyone else for the radical pro-Palestine cause losing support, even blaming sloptubers, which I find personally offensive, but conveniently leaves out the terminally online, unemployed, anti-Semitic mongoloids who go around threatening and violently attacking anyone who disagrees with them, even just a little bit. If you don't agree with these nut jobs 100% on every single issue, then you are a valid target for violence in their opinion, and not only want your deletion, but would openly celebrate it. In my opinion, Hasan knows the writing is on the wall. He sees all the rampant radical left-wing violence like the Charlie Kirk murder, Christian church and school shootings, violence against Christians is dramatically on the rise, and they all seem to be committed by the same they-them trans-Tifa fucks that Hasan openly supports. Does Hasan ever take blame for these horrific events, or at least his part in them? Of course not. He lies, deflects, blames victims, and pretends supporting terrorism is protected by free speech rights, which it 100% is not.
We will continue killing your soldiers by our locally manufactured snipers. Wow, there's a little message for the Americans out there as well.
Here's the part of the video where I prove Hasan is completely screwed. While the First Amendment does cover controversial speech, discussing terrorism or things of that nature, these types of speech are protected by free speech laws. Incitement of lawless acts and the crux of Hasan's true downfall is that the First Amendment does not apply to material support for terrorism. And now that Antifa has been added to the list of designated terrorist groups Hasan has openly showed support for, Hasan has really got himself in quite the pickle here, guys. He has literally streamed himself for the entire world to see, openly supporting designated terrorist groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and now Antifa. He's also played Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthi propaganda videos, claiming that the Houthi one was a Houthi musical, whatever the fuck that means, and literally interviewed an alleged Houthi butt pirate, a guy he said was a Houthi butt pirate, only to backtrack when Hasan got backlash. He even hummed the Bella Ciao song, the LGBTQ furry trans lover carved on one of the shell casings he left at the scene after killing Charlie Kirk. He he's an evil fuck who knows what he's doing. He props himself up as the faux liberator of the oppressed, revolutionary, when in reality, he's just a nepo baby, trust fund capitalist, America-hating terrorist supporter. In my opinion, of course. And I, for one, am not going to lose 1 ounce of sleep over any form of consequence that he's got coming his way. And you shouldn't either. I cannot wait to keep you guys updated. Thank you again if you made it through my entire video. You're a saint and my personal hero. Obviously, the videos won't be the highest quality in the beginning, but I promise you guys they will get better. And hopefully, with your help by liking and subscribing to the channel, I'll have top-notch content soon enough. Also, you can leave whatever type of comment you want. I'm not the grammar or hate speech police. Just let's be somewhat nice to each other. Not too nice, but kind of nice.
Let's talk about our favorite flags.
Oh, like overall, what my favorite flag? Yeah. Hezbollah.
What do you mean by that?
Doesn't know where Yemen is? Okay, I'm gonna click close. I'm closing it. I'm closing it. I think nope.
Dude, I'm memeing. I'm fucking memeing.
He has this command place, which is basically if I snap my finger and point, he will run to that place and lay down.
You don't have to zap him.
No.
Hasan.
Not like Hasan Biker. No.
Wasn't that disgusting?
No electrocution of dogs here.
How disgusting is that? What does that tell you about a person?
Well, I think it tells you that they're not, that they're bad people.
Yes.
If you can actually cause suffering to an innocent animal, you're probably the kind of person who doesn't worry about suffering in people as well. Yeah. And that's been my experience. If you
of all of America's much more consequential violence.
Ugh, you're the worst kind of
it's
autistic.
The same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go. Just stop.
Hasan's most recent alleged scandal may be his biggest, and in my opinion, his worst. Hasan has a gay boutique dog that he uses as a prop to try and humanize himself, that he forces to lay on a cot and watch him stream all day long. Hasan was doing another one of his mind-numbingly boring streams, when of course he was talking about how evil and horrible America is, because he has to talk about hating America and the Israel-Hamas war every 10 minutes or so to keep his brainwashed, low testosterone, they-them followers happy in their echo chamber. During his nonsensical rant, Hasan's boutique canine, Kaya, did the most unspeakable thing I've ever seen a dog do. She dared to step off the cot Hasan set up in frame, solely for performative purposes. This unacceptable behavior by Kaya was met with swift action by Hasan, who allegedly, of course, summoned his demonic pagan Transtifa gods who sent up a Zeus lightning bolt straight from the pits of hell. The internet is convinced that Hasan uses a shock collar on Kaya to get her to stay in camera view, hence her yelps of pain as soon as her paw hits the ground. Now, none of this is proven, but Hasan has shown a shock collar in past streams, and in my opinion, it's pretty obvious Kaya was shocked by her collar. He even got mad at her for wanting to stretch out her legs and walk around the house, instead of sitting for 10 hours listening to Hasan's moronic takes on political issues that he knows nothing about. If it turns out to be true that Hasan used a shock collar on Kaya, it may lead to the masses finally waking up to who he really is. I'm not sure why people are surprised. He supports multiple designated terrorist groups, is blatantly anti-Semitic, said America deserved 9/11, denied documented rapes committed by terrorists, and more. It's not surprising that this dirtbag would shock his dog for daring to move. Can you imagine being this dog? Being constantly forced to sit perfectly still on a cot in camera view for 8 to 10 hours a day and listen to Hasan and his redacted friends rant about things they don't understand and promote designated terrorist groups. I mean, now whenever I watch Hasan's streams, it looks like Kaya is in a hostage video. Hasan's orbiters have been hard at work trying to run cover for him. He even has adult actress Sasha Grey in the mix. You know, in between getting gangbanged and prolapsing. The latest news is that Ludwig's girlfriend claims that she has the inside scoop on the Doggate situation. She claims she's been over to Hasan's house every day for 2 years, which is a little sus. Ludwig's girlfriend claims that while yes, there actually is a shock collar, the prongs were removed, the shock part was taped over, and that the collar's shock capability was disabled, and it only vibrates now. So we're supposed to believe that the bougie, millionaire fuckboy Hasan, who bought a boutique dog, went through the trouble of purchasing an electric dog collar just to disarm it? I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. Out of all the ridiculous bullshit excuses I've heard in my life, this has to be the most ridiculous and lamest one I've ever heard. Doggate seems to be the thing that's actually turning people against him. We'll make sure to keep you guys updated as the situation unfolds.
Yeah. Please, I don't have my phone with me. So just
No.
Hey, free Kaya. Free Kaya.
It's so stupid. Like, you like Khomeini tweet when he responsible for killing so many people? Listen, sometimes you can find poetry in the strangest places. Yeah. Two senior national security officials tell me that there are more than a dozen secret and obscure watch lists that Homeland Security and the FBI are using to track protesters, both anti-ICE and pro-Palestinian. This is another big suck my dick to all the fucking Israel dick riders out there, you fucking rabid ultra-Zionist pigs.
What in the actual Hasan is condemned and called for violence against landlords. As in his own words, called for the streets to run red with their red capitalist bloods. In his numerous anti-landlord and anti-capitalist rants, he conveniently leaves out the part that his mom is a commercial real estate agent. So does that mean he wants... You know what I mean? As I've gotten deep into the Hasan lore, I've noticed quite an interesting pattern. The pattern is that anything Hasan advocates for, he actually lives the exact opposite of how he preaches. He tells his audience he grew up poor, when in reality, he grew up rich. He says he hates capitalism and wants socialism, but he's the biggest capitalist on YouTube. Does Hasan give away any of his fortune to less fortunate people and reject materialism like socialism preaches? Nope. I don't know. Maybe his version of socialism is like the Nazi version that the German painter loved so much. He says America is an awful, terrible country, but he refuses to leave or move to any of the communist or Arab countries he claims are so much better. Gee, I wonder why. He claims that he cares so much about the Israel-Hamas war, yet he refuses to visit and try to do on-the-ground journalism to help push out the message of the people on the ground. He claims he's against violence, yet he has repeatedly called for violence, interviewed an alleged terrorist, and promotes multiple violent terrorist groups. Once again, I'm not pro-Israel, nor do I care if you're anti-Israel. That's totally fine. I think they have plenty to answer for, but that doesn't mean you have to automatically support terrorists. Long story long, Hasan is the most hypocritical clown on the internet, and it's truly disturbing that people unironically watch his streams. Hasan just shills propaganda for any and everything anti-American to rage bait all his non-binary, gender-fluid, they-them audience members who are rebelling against their evil white racist parents for telling them to stop gooning to furry corn and go get a job.
My mind, in my conscience, I have already become Chinese. Okay? Bing chilling.
Roger, you seen this? Oh, yeah. Look, yeah. 这是什么呀？他录视频。你是他导游？没有。这是什么？Okay.
I want to give a quick shout out to Nuxanor, More Pegasus, Tectone, Asmongold, Achito, The Quarter Ring, Penguin Zero, Salty Cracker, Ethan Klein, and H3H3, and a few other content creators I couldn't remember. I love your guys' content and will be your slop disciple in this war against evil and wickedness. Thank you guys for your content once again, and once again, thank you for watching my video. Be sure to check out my next one.
So what should we call you? What are you?
I mean, I say I'm a socialist. I'm not like a self-described communist or anything. Some people say I'm a revisionist and therefore a social fascist, but those guys are the real commies. You know what I mean? Those are...
It was at this moment he knew. He fucked up.